Jesse is a Texas-based chef and the force behind Dai Due, a Michelin-starred restaurant that champions wild game, whole animals, and local food. He also teaches people how to hunt, fish, butcher, and cook, and has written a few books along the way, including A Field, The Turkey Book, and The Hog Book. I'm sure a lot of people will recognize him from his work with the Meat Eater crew. Welcome to the podcast, Jesse.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's I think I first learned about you just through social media, being a Canadian and seeing your work at your restaurant, and then on Meat Eater, and then Travis podcasted with you and picked up a couple of your books for me. So they're just fantastic. One of the things I've noticed is how you focus on the storytelling of food. And it's not something that's really, really common with chefs, but you really are a master at it. The storytelling of food and sharing hunting and how important that is, of the provenance of the food and where it comes from. And do you wanna chat on that? Why that's a goal for you? If I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I mean, just reading your work, it's like you're a storyteller first and foremost, and you seem to do that through food, which is amazing to watch.
Oh, well, thank you. Definitely. I mean, I think that the impetus for it was that I grew up reading outdoor magazines, any book about hunting or fishing. I love to read it, and especially when it came to stories. Also, at that time, getting up early on a Saturday or Sunday morning and watching fishing shows, it was Roland Martin or, like these, usually bass fishermen or maybe some kind of local outdoor show. And I loved the story. I love, especially like a shorter story where it's not like an entire book written around this event, but rather, it's just like this. We went to the North Woods of Canada to catch walleye out of a lake. We had to fly in on a bush plane, and then we ate a shore lunch. And I mean, as a kid, I was super captivated by that, by the stories, and I always wanted to include them. I read tons and tons of books about him. I have a favorite author named John Gierach. He passed a couple of years ago, and just since I was, I think, 13 years old, just diligently read everything that he ever put out, and really, really, really loved it. And so I always wanted to incorporate that into the books, especially being short, kind of to the point. So there's a lot of these stories are like 2 pages long, when you look at them, maybe 3 or 4, but they kind of get to the point quick. It's not this super long read, and then we'll go back into recipes, things like that. But you're absolutely right. It's just like that story, being able to tell that story and having that narrative around a meal is for me probably the most rewarding part of it, and it can come from anything. Like I'm an avid gardener, so like I also, we ate some spinach last night, that I grew, and so it's like, hey everybody, just in case you didn't notice, the spinach was planted a long time ago, in August actually, and so it took a long time, and it had its own little history, and it's obviously not as exciting as stalking a river bottom for a big feral hog or something like that. But I think it all has a story, and we all seek that connectivity. Or if we don't seek it, then we probably haven't experienced it. I think that a lot of people, when they do have that connectivity with food, then it alters their perception of food in general, maybe resources in general, and having a story, telling that story, I think is a really, really important facet of that kind of that learning process.
Yeah. Do you think as a chef, there's an extra responsibility to share that story with people? I mean, and as well, you could roll in hunters and anglers as well to share with other people the story of the food to try to gain a little bit of common ground.
Definitely. I feel like I enjoy education. I enjoy sharing what I'm learning, what I've learned with people. I mean, every single bit of it. I think I want anything that I know. I want to put it out there, and I think that you communicate with people better if you're entertaining them as well, or giving
Yeah.
them a good reason to stick along for the story.
Mm,
It's not a trick. It's just it's more enjoyable, I think.
mm.
To include that story, so it's not just like we're just starting with a chunk of venison, and it's like, well, it was a very cold morning, and we didn't think we were gonna see, there's always the
Yeah.
drama of it, and so I think it aids in the communication, and yeah, I mean more so we do want to be entertained.
I think, hunting's not an easy it's not an easy venture, and it's nice to be able to share that with other people too, and, this piece of meat was not easy to get. Remember, it was like I mean, in Canada, it was like everything was frozen. We were on a hunting trip, and we were in our trailer, and the water tank froze solid, and so it's like we were sleeping on a big cube of ice, and you can go and you can share all these small details of the hunt, and it I find it's fantastic because the meat that you're eating has so much more value to you than something that you're buying from a store, and to be able to share that excitement and all that extra value that's built into that with other people is like there's nothing better than that. It's I know I'm like like you with your spinach. I constantly bombard my family with, just so you guys know, all the food on this plate came from our backyard or the meat that we harvested or whatever it is, just on a constant basis. And because I think, especially if you have kids, being able to ingrain that in their brains that food food has value beyond just fuel for our bodies. And I think it makes eating ethically that much easier, and making smart decisions with food and with the environment and conservation, all these other things. It makes all those things so much easier down the road once you built that value system in with people when they're consuming food.
I was going to make one more point about the memories of that, and my friend Ben O'Brien, he pointed this out. We were actually on a mountain in Oregon when he pointed this out to me. He's like, and you'll notice this, and it's almost universal. It's like after if you're or one or more people and you're hunting or fishing, and you've just captured the animal, you caught the fish, or you've just walked up and you put the turkey or the deer or the pig in hand. The instinct immediately is to tell the story. And the way that Ben explained it was like this isn't just us wanting to brag about it or anything. This is a human imperative, in that while the lessons learned from the hunt are still incredibly fresh and indelible, we feel this very strong need to share that information so that we can learn how to do it better. And so this is this is a thousand generations old instinct to be like, hey, listen, this is what happened. We're retelling it like, oh, and then the turkey popped out of nowhere, and then I did, but what you're saying is like, listen, turkeys can pop out of nowhere. Beyond the next time you're out, you're trying to ingrain that skill in there while it's still fresh. And I think that I mean, it dissipates, of course, after the hunt, after the adrenaline comes down. But I think that the storytelling aspect is still has a more innate quality in us. Like when we read hunting and fishing stories, maybe even somebody that doesn't hunt or fish might read something like that and feel a little stirring in them because of that. That millennia old innate instinct that we have still lodged in our brains.
It's the, trickle down from coloring on the walls of caves, and, this is how we brought down this mastodon, and like all these drawings and stuff is now you know, it's sharing in the way we do all these stories, and it's got to be bred into us instinctually to do it. Like you see it. I mean, you don't have to be a hunter to read these stories, and like you said, you feel this something inside you. I think for a lot of people, and I've always felt with people that don't hunt or are against hunting, that bridge to. I'm not saying you have to convert everybody, and not that we need to in any way, shape, or form, but at least make them open their eyes to it being something that's not negative, is through food. Everybody
Mhm.
has to eat, and sharing these conversations, and getting that stirring in those people's bellies on it, that it's, it's natural and it's something that, it might not be for them, but is always through food. And I find it, I find it especially in the beginning of your book, A Field. I think you've triggered a lot of people to, I hope anyway, but I feel strongly that you've probably triggered a lot of people to open their eyes to the aspect of hunting not being a terrible thing, or going out and doing it themselves. And it's very, very cool to see. I wonder, I heard recently that you've stepped back from grinding behind the line at the restaurant. Is that something that are you looking back and missing it, or is it sort of a natural progression? You're focusing more on teaching and all the other work you're working on now.
Oh, it's very much a natural progression. If not, it just your body one day is just like, you've done this for a while. And I mean, I definitely know people that can do it into their 60s.
Yeah.
I, we just are lucky enough to have a situation at the restaurant where we have a really talented chef who runs the day to day, and I'm able to step back and do what I think I'm just better at. It's like I don't need to be there on the line when I could be, talking with you, or other things like that, and the educational aspect of it, because the restaurant and is multifaceted. We're not just a restaurant. We also delve into conservation and game, and what's happening in the bay systems of Texas is important to the restaurant. And so that requires a different person like me to kind of like straddle those worlds. It's like, not only do we care about, is our order going to arrive on time at the restaurant today, but we're like, well, 10 years from now, is the bottom of this, estuary going to be amenable for oysters, and therefore the other fish that we serve, and, this and that. And it's a higher concentration. And I'm so lucky that I'm able to kind of live in both of those worlds.
Is there anything that you miss from it, from working the line?
It's exciting, and it can be very rewarding. It can be very difficult.
Yeah.
But not really. I'm
No.
a morning person. I've always been a morning person. And so I struggled throughout the career with, because even if, you're getting home at 1, and then you're going, at best, you're going to bed at 2, I'm still up at 6,
You're
and so
wired.
a bit of a curse, just
Yeah.
because I like to get up in the mornings. And so, yeah, no, I think, but I did it, and
Yeah.
I did it, and, I definitely paid my dues. I've worked in a lot of restaurants other than my own. I've worked 2 jobs at a time. I've worked 3 jobs at a time, coming up. I didn't go to culinary school or college. I just started working when I was about 15 and just went all the way through. So we tend to have a lot of guilt in this industry about not working hard enough, and I suffer from that sometimes. But then I look back and I'm like, listen, I put in my hours. I definitely did. I don't know how many hours, but definitely, I've worked quite a bit on the line, and I worked every station, and now I'm like, I'll step back and kind of let other people do that, offer my advice where it's needed, and then kind of focus on bigger picture educational things.
I find it so funny. When you think about successful chefs, so often the public looks and they're like, yeah, look at them, grinding behind the line, working as expediter, getting food out, shaking hands, like visiting people. And like, it's so rare that you see a chef that is, I mean, most great chefs aren't good line cooks. Like, they're kind of terrible because their mind's thinking on other things. And, you have to be a good business person. You have to like be able to be a good leader. You have to, like, the food is totally separate from a lot of things about running a great restaurant and becoming well known that way. And like you talked about the guilt, and there is so much guilt if you're not like with the guys in the kitchen getting sweaty and scrubbing the flat top and doing all these things. And it is a challenge. I know when I left the kitchen for years, people are like, "Oh, do you miss it?" I'm like, "No, I don't." Like I like you said, I miss the I start and end of a day. You know, there's this completion. Once you leave that and get into other work, it feels like it never ends. But there is a joy to working in a kitchen. You show up for your shift, you get your work done, you go home, and it's done. With what you're working on now, you're mostly focused on butchery classes with the restaurant, and I also noticed you are doing something called the Pâtal Project,
Mhm.
which looks amazing. Do you want to talk through that a little bit? What that's all about?
Yeah. So, I mean, along with kind of stepping away from the day-to-day roles, I mean, I definitely have to, fill my time and produce still. So, we do butchery classes. We've ceased doing our start to finish hunting classes. We used to do 4 or 5 day class. We're not doing that anymore after 14 seasons of doing that. And the reasons for that are just like, again, that was just taking so much time, and I was able to have reach 6 people per class, and that got to be like we could be doing more, and it would just take so much, 5 or 6 day chunk at a time. Multiply that by, I think the most we ever did in a year was 10. And so I was gone for 2 months, essentially guiding, cooking, organizing these things, and it just got to be a little unsustainable. But the day classes are a lot easier to do. And then, kind of the natural segue from that would be, hey, I need some sort of, video alternative that's still going to be able to be accessible to people where I can still teach. And that's where the Pâtal Project came from. And, it took us a couple years to figure out, like, exactly how is this just going to go on YouTube, or what. And I think we chose a subscription service for it. So it's essentially like these very long form videos. There's some hunting, there's some field work in there, like how to position yourself in a dove field, how to pluck, how to skin and gut. We've covered so far doves, hogs, turkeys, and blue crabs, in depth. And it goes pretty deep into butchering as well. And then we just wrapped filming 3 more episodes of just feral hogs, and so all in, we're probably looking at close to 10 hours of video tutorials, most of that being around feral hogs. It's all different size categories. If, the hog book has 4 size categories in there. So it'll soon have all 4 of those videos on there, like a small hog, a medium hog, a large boar, a large sow, all broken down start to finish with multiple recipes. And then on the website, we have additional recipes on there too. So it's kind of a natural progression for me to get into that, because now I can reach an indefinite number of people
Yeah.
instead of just a few at a time. And it's just easier on my schedule. We can just do this when we want to.
Yeah.
And I think most importantly, it allowed me, to have more time, in hunting season. And frankly, my daughter likes to hunt, and that's the person I just want to hunt with now. So just like,
It's it's so funny you say that because I've had people ask, "Oh, when are you going to do this? When are you going to do this?" And it's so flattering that people like. I'm sure there's like an infinite amount of people that would pay untold sums of money to spend 4 or 5 days with you learning how to hunt and do all those things. But to be able to reach so many more people and at the same time be like, I'm doing this because I love to hunt. Like being able to follow your passion and do what you want to do is like, and to hunt with your kid is like you're living the dream, really. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah, I
I
mean,
acknowledge that.
yeah,
Every day I'm like, this is great. I'm
yeah,
on my own schedule, and that's another thing that, working the line is like, no, you have to be there from noon to 11. You're going to
yep.
be there, and you can't do anything else. Like, you can't send emails. Like, if you need to send a few texts or get on the phone, you're really not able to do that. And so, like yesterday, I scheduled an event 11 months from now. And it's just, and that's about how far out I am. And so, like, having to compress these days, working the line, it doesn't even seem tenable anymore when I'm like so far out, and my brain is kind of in another spot. So I love where we're at now, as far as like the Pâtal Project, the books. I'm working on another book project, and I just think it's a great place to be, and it keeps me as busy as I want to be.
Yeah. Oh, so new book. What's the focus on that?
I can't say yet.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
I,
Well, I'll keep my
I
eyes
would
peeled for it.
I would entertain guesses. I'm going to poker face them. It's
Yeah.
not going to be hard to guess. I'll give you that as a hint. It's not
Okay.
going to be hard to guess.
Okay.
And once you guess it, you'll guess the title right away.
Okay.
But no, but it's I don't know how far along we are. Since we self-publish, we can move at a kind of a lightning pace versus someone that's going through a traditional publisher. So yeah, we're looking at, actually we start on Monday shooting in the field. We'll start the here's another hint, the hunting part of it. We'll start on Monday and be photographed.
Very cool. Are you working with the same photographer?
Yeah, this will be book number 4 with Jody Horton, who is the photographer, and he also serves as the publisher. So the two of us have the Wild Books, and St. John Press is his publishing house or press. He's only published our books, so um, yeah, it's a great partnership. He's an amazing photographer. He has a studio as well that we're able to use to shoot all the recipes and the food into, so it works very efficiently, and we can get stuff done quickly, and it's a lot of fun.
It's nice too. I imagine you're probably not burdened with editors telling you deadlines and things. You have a little bit more creative control over what you're putting out there. If it's you're sitting higher on the chain of command on producing your own books.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a field was through a publisher, and I wouldn't say it's a bad process, but the self-published books, the turkey book and the hog book, were amazing to work through. I mean, so much fun. We assemble our own team. We have an editor and indexer named Samantha, who's amazing, and we have a designer named Blair, who's also amazing, and Jess, who handles the warehouse and like logistical functions, and then there's Jody, and that's really it. Like that's kind of, I mean, there'll be a couple more people dropping in here and there, but that's the team. And once when you work with people that you absolutely love working with, you almost make excuses to work with them again, which is what
Oh, 100%.
I just like. I mean, I enjoy the process so much and working with such incredibly talented people that I'm like, let's do it again. Might as well.
It's nice when work is fun, right? Like you just like follow your passion, do what you want to do, and get to a point where you're just, yeah, this is what I'm doing today. I'm having fun. I'm going hunting, and you look back on where you were, and there's no need for guilt on leaving all the work you put in before and moving on to something bigger and better. And so what's on the horizon hunt wise? Like I've never hunted in Texas. So are you guys like here in BC? We're just winding down, really. Are you sort of ramping up for hunts in Texas, or how's it work?
Well, I mean, my focus now. I let me see how I should explain it. It's like I don't take a lot of time and do extended trips during what most people would consider hunting season, fall and winter. The Texas seasons go very long. Deer, for instance, can run, if you're on a managed lands permit, can from October to the end of February. So like 5 months out of 12. So you're like a really long season.
Yeah.
We're we're blessed with a lot of game here.
Mm.
Hogs we can hunt year round. I spend all my tokens in the spring for
Okay.
turkeys. It's really the only thing I travel much for, unless it's
Yeah.
a fundraising event. Like we'll go to South Dakota and hunt pheasants with Pheasants Forever, and just to as fundraising, or something like that might pull me away. But I spend, like I said, all my real travel and the most concentrated amount of time spent in the field will start in March and end right around May 31st. So
Right.
I love turkey hunting. I love traveling for turkey hunting. I like to, go visit friends or see a new part of the country through the lens of a turkey hunt. I think that's it. 49 states allow you to travel and hunt turkeys there. And so I like to take advantage of that, because you can go anywhere from the swamps of Florida to Maine, Washington, North Dakota. I'm just not going to name all 49 states, but I mean, they can crazy. Arizona. You can,
You're not gonna give us your honey holes either?
oh, I'm not particularly good at it, so it doesn't really matter. I just enjoy the process. So, um,
What is it about turkey hunting that you enjoy so much?
first that you can travel. They inhabit uh, pretty much just beautiful places, or significant places. I think South Texas might not make a postcard, but it's got its own like very rough beauty to it. Oregon, Wisconsin, name it, wherever you're at, can be pretty, or the people could be cool, or whatever. I enjoy travel quite a bit, and so I'd say that's one of the things that I love the most about it. I love eating them, very much so. It's probably my favorite game animal. I love fried turkey. My birthday falls in the middle of May, and I love to have fried turkey and dewberry cobbler for my birthday. So I have to go shoot a turkey for that at the very
Yeah.
least. I love the game of it. I
Mm.
love how hard it can be, especially if you're like me and it's not very good at it. And so I think I hunted 29 days last season and I killed 4 birds. So that's
I
a
don't know, that's pretty good, like,
is it? I mean,
I don't I mean, uh, from my own perspective, I've seen turkeys in BC here,
mm,
only outside of when I'm turkey hunting.
mhm.
I've
That's right.
I've yet yeah, I have yet to kill a turkey.
Yeah,
It's, although on our side, it conflicts with bear hunting season, which is one of my favorite hunts. It's, here it's finally a little bit warm. You can sit out in a t-shirt and it's good that way. But yeah, turkeys have eluded me. That's for sure. So your numbers sound pretty darn good to me.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Texas is it can sometimes it can be a bit of a layup here too. A lot of
Oh
private
yeah.
land, and I have good access to
Mm.
to land. A lot of times places that nobody else is hunting turkeys at, and so they tend to be a little more amenable to it, but still not always easy. But
So are you guys managing them? Like, do you like Travis was hunting well, he was supposed to be hunting hogs in Texas and he didn't see a single hog. And all they saw were deer. I know. He was like he was a little shocked. He for whatever reason they just saw like deer after deer. But there were feeders and it was all managed, which is something you don't see around here. Are you doing the same thing for turkeys or are they just kind of running around eating everything?
it really depends on where I'm hunting. I don't own any land, so I'm always a guest of someone who is managing their land however they see fit. So in the feeder blind situation in Texas is almost omnipresent. Like it's very very common to the point where people just they I think that they don't feel like they're doing the right thing unless they are doing that, because then your neighbors are out competing you by feeding, and so it kind of generates this. It's like an arms race, you know. Like if your neighbor is feeding, it has 4 feeders out and is throwing corn 3 times a day,
Yeah.
then eventually you're gonna be like, well, why don't I have anything over here? And I'm like, because they're snacking over there constantly. But in the context of hogs, though, I mean, he probably didn't see any, maybe because of pressure, or weather. Hogs are the outlier. They kind of do whatever they want. You can see them routinely at the same time every day for months, and then one day, poof, they're just gone. They move on. They're like, they're little anarchists. I wanted to put this illustration. I had this idea for an illustration in the hog book called Pig Ball, and it would be like a pinball machine, and all these different influences or factors would cause the ball to just like go in a different direction. Like like agriculture, bing, or like a flood, bing, or like hunting pressure, and it's just like,
Yeah.
and the it was a difficult illustration. I conceived it, and then I went to the designer. She's like, I don't know if I can do that, but the idea is that the pigs are that ball, and once they hit one of those things, they just get flung in another direction, not like a deer, which is just be like, we're going to wait it out here, and they have kind of a home range, and pigs are just, they go with the flow.
Does it make them more enjoyable to hunt that way? Like, is it like a constant quest to like attach all those red strings on the wall to understand what the pigs are doing and why they're doing it, or is it just
Yeah.
like
Yeah, it's
a
just
bit of
like
a
anything
crapshoot?
else. Once especially if remove like feeders and blinds from the situation
Yeah.
and go and hunt pigs like that, once you start to figure them out in that context, it's just like anything else. It's like
Mm.
it's very rewarding. They have their senses that, like if you're 500 yards upwind of a hog, you're never going to know it's there. It's going to be out, like it's
Mhm.
gone. If you're 5 yards downwind of a hog, you got a good shot at it. Like those things, it's crazy how close
Really?
you get to them. Oh yeah, um, I mean real close.
You
uh,
said something in I think it was in the hog book where you're talking about sneaking up on some hogs and they're eating acorns and how it must have been like chewing was so loud in their head that they couldn't even hear you walking around. Got super
it
close, but
happens. The last pig that I killed was a big sow, and we heard them. There was three of them. We heard them eating pecans and grunting happily. And you're like, how do you know they're happy? And I'm like, if you heard this, you would 100% be like, those pigs are happy right now. They were like kind of. I don't really want to make the vocalization, but
oh come
they,
on.
I was like, those pigs are happy. I didn't say that, but
Yeah,
when I was excitedly telling the story right after,
of course.
uh, uh, but we heard them crunching pecans.
That's awesome.
And the reason that they could not hear us, it was a very dry day. The reason they did not hear us is because of the crunching within their own skulls. They were like,
That's
and we
amazing.
got very close. It was dark, just right at dark. And so it was very hard to see them. But we heard them pause, looked over, saw these three dark shapes, identified them as hogs, and we were able to do it. We were 30 yards downwind of them. Had it been the other way, we would have never even known their presence because they would have been out. But it's like anything else. They're very difficult in some ways, but then they have. I always kind of liken them to like sinners. They have they they can't control themselves like around a couple of things. Like boars, obviously, are will commit themselves to the pursuit of sows, which will definitely let their guard down on. I've seen extreme like examples of that. And then of course they're pigs eating. They love to eat, and it's just like it's just like one of their faults. And you have to take advantage of those, and then their senses, of course, their sight's okay, hearing's fine, smell is out of this world. They can just smell you. But so you put all those factors together, get a hungry pig upwind of you, and you've got a good shot at it. But then you got to find them,
Yeah.
So
Sorry, you have to call them?
no, I've
Oh,
heard of
okay.
people doing that.
Oh,
You certainly can. There's some vocalizations that they'll
yeah.
respond to, but I don't know if it's with enough consistency to make it work. But
Okay.
I'm to the point where if I hear pigs, I know. Oh, this is going to sound a little pretentious, but understand. I not understand. I know some of their vocalizations.
Yeah.
Like, well, the other day I was out with a friend, and we heard them grunting, and I
Mm.
knew that it was they were aware of our presence, but as we were downwind, they haven't confirmed it. And that's
Yeah.
something I'll always say is like they like don't trust their own senses until they confirm via smell. A lot of
Okay.
times they'll look at you, you'll be 50 yards away, and they're just like, what is that? Or
Yeah.
just like, and they might run, but they're gonna trot off. If they smell you, they run with like as fast. It's a different thing, and I recognize this. They were making these grunts that indicated like, oh, I was like, there's pigs right there in this brush, and they know we're here. They don't know exactly where we are, and they're not exactly spooked yet, but they're kind of just like, hey, I think something's going on. And then there's this more guttural, uh, almost like a huff that they'll make, and that is like everybody out now.
Really?
And yeah, and you can after a while you can kind of hear the difference between those two, and it's just something you get through experience.
When you're in hunting situations, when you're so close to the animal that you can hear them and smell them, and you have that interaction, and you're like, "Oh shit, are they going to make me?" Or like you said, when they like we've had it with moose where you'll call them and they call back, and that you can hear them getting closer, and you can hear them like walking around you and trying to figure out what's going on, and you're just sitting trying to be quiet and see how close they can get, see if you can see them, but it's like it's the best of hunting for me is like being able to have that interaction with the animal and try to figure out what all those noises mean and see how close you can get. And it's, uh, I think it just like it makes you love the animals that much more, right?
Hmm.
To have that interaction with them is just is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It just and you can kind of dial it back to the style of hunting that you want.
Hmm.
Where you could put yourself in the position where you'll have to use all of those senses.
Yeah.
Like if you, especially like smelling them, I think there's
Yeah.
something real special about that, and it
Yep.
also makes you look like a total badass when you're like, "That's pigs."
Oh, I love it. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I did that with a friend of mine, same guy that I was with. And one time we were out, and I was like, "I smell a pig," and he's just like, "What?" And 5 seconds later, a boar is
Yeah.
like 15 yards away, bedded down. He stands up and kind of grunts at us, and then
Yeah.
trots off. And he was like, "It was the next day," which was really funny. He sends me a text, and I'll never forget this. It just says, "That was pretty cool how you smelled that pig." I was just like, "Yeah, it was kind of cool, actually."
Yeah. It's like it's funny too. I've realized in the last couple of years that I can do certain things so my sense of smell gets better. Like I'll adjust my diet.
Hmm.
I find if I like if I skip breakfast, my sense of smell gets better.
Oh,
It's crazy. I'll like cut out certain foods. Like I cut out dairy and wheat. My sense of smell gets better. I think it messes with my sinuses. I'm
yeah.
probably mildly allergic or something like that. But if I cut those things out, my sense of smell gets incredible.
Oh,
It's
love
yeah.
that.
I honestly, I was down in Vegas last week for SHOT Show, and I was around a lot of people during this week, and I was just like, I was adjusting my diet in that case, and I'm like, people stink. Like it was to the point where it was bothering me smelling other humans because they. Travis always talks about how people smell like pigs. They have like this sweet smell to them, and anyway, it's if I for me it works. Like I do adjust my diet, and my sense of smell goes through the roof.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean I don't know the scientific side of it, but for me it works anyway.
Yeah, no, it sounds entirely plausible. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it when you walk through the woods and you can smell because animals stink. They really do. Like they have a very strong smell.
Especially pigs.
Yeah. Well, I've never
I'm
hunted
all
pigs.
like, yeah, I've got this incredible sense of smell, and people are like, "You're smelling pigs, dude." Like, it's literally, I mean, they're kind of metaphorically the stinkiest animal out there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you yeah, part of me sort of like I shouldn't wish it, but like we don't really have wild hog hunting in BC.
Yeah,
I shouldn't wish it on BC to have it, but we have
no,
little pockets apparently they're migrating up, but
yeah.
yeah, I don't
Your
know. We haven't
state
seen it.
biologists are just like, stop with the wishing,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
We don't even need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get asked that. There's the whole like the magic button question. Like, if I
Mm.
could push it, would I make all the pigs disappear? Because we have 50% of the population in the
Wow.
continent in Texas, and I'm like, you don't want to hear my answer. And I mean, I'm not a farmer. I'm not like
No.
I'm not growing corn for a living, and so my my answer is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be like, no, I kind of enjoy hunting them quite a bit. And also, I need to
Yeah.
sell a few more thousand copies of this book called The Hog Book. Because they all magically disappeared. Sales would go down extensively. So yeah, but yeah, be careful what you wish for. I'm sometimes shocked that they haven't gone to certain areas of the
Yeah.
country and Canada as well. Um, but it feels like that they could if they wanted.
I mean, they're pretty cold hardy too, right? Like, they're not just hanging out in Texas 'cause it's hot. They could totally survive in colder climates.
Yeah, look at Russian boars.
Yeah.
They're not from the warm part of Russia, you know. Yeah, they're built for it. Yeah, I really haven't. I don't know why, but I just know there's going to be this crazy story, on Meat Eater Outdoor Life or something. It's just gonna be like elk hunter shoots pig, and I'll be like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
here we
totally.
go. Like in Montana, it's going to happen.
Yeah. It was funny, we were recently in Sweden, and it was a very different experience. It was an organized hunt, driven hunt, which again, for us, using dogs is totally not a common thing, but they're running through all the animals. Okay, we're gonna do red stag, and we're shooting fallow deer, and we're shooting hogs, and it was funny because they're like, "Okay, it's hogs, but you don't shoot the males, or sorry, shoot the males at this size. Don't shoot the females unless they're between 30 and 40 kilograms, and shoot as many piglets as you can, or wild pig, like little guys as you can, and all these things." And so we're sitting here in this stand, and Travis and I are just like, we've got like little question marks floating out of our heads with all these different animals. They're not used to hunting, and then trying to navigate like how we're going to identify these animals when we do see them. And on top of it, it's not like BC where like there's an animal that's stopped and then you shoot it, right? Like they're all bolting because they're being chased by dogs. And the first one that came out was a wild boar, and we had been screamed at by the hunt leader, the whole group, like, "You can't do this, can't do that." So we're terrified to misidentify something, and this boar comes out, and it was probably about 100 yards away. And Trav's like, "I don't know. Should I shoot it? Shouldn't I shoot it?" I'm like, I'm trying to see if it has a penis as it's like running across this field. I'm like, "I don't know. I don't see anything." Anyways, one of the other guys in one of the other stands shot it. But it was just like, it was a very challenging hunt with all these rules in it. I think it would be a lot more enjoyable in a place like Texas where you're just like,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
it's
no
a
rule.
problem to shoot them.
If you see a pig, kill it, and if you see
Yeah.
another one, kill that one too, please. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I was hunting in Sweden was really fun, but that first day was just like, oh my god, our heads were spinning with like
yeah.
how do you tell a 30 to 40 kilogram sow from 100 yards away? Was like a test
Yeah.
a test of our eyesight and hunting ability for
We
sure.
weigh 30K, 2 pounds.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's it too, right? Like, we're Canadian, we're the
oh,
ultimate meshing of imperial and metric for
yeah,
things, right? Yeah,
it's
that was a
funny.
challenge.
Yeah. I don't think I would have been. I would have just been like, I'm an observer at this point. Yeah.
Well, yeah, for first part of the first drive, we were just like just watching things, and then to make it that much more challenging, we know what fallow deer look like, but the fallow deer in that particular region of Sweden were totally different. They're all black. They didn't look like the lighter ones with the spots like we're used to seeing. So we saw a few of those, but we're like, I don't know what the hell that that deer is, but I'm not going to shoot it. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun. It was really fun. With your new book project, are you getting out in the field a lot these days? Or you've kind of done the work now? You're sitting behind a desk writing, or how's your day to day looking?
It's mostly writing right now, recipes. I am kind of like maybe a little cart before the horse on it, in that I'm writing all the recipes, testing some of them, and then we're going to do all the field work. We're really cramming the entire hunting portion of it into 5 days. It's not intended to be heavy on hunting. It's going to be more after that. So each one of these books has had a very different focus and theme and narrative. Hog books, a bit the textbook, the turkey books, like a journal. It's just like that took place in a little over 2 months of 2023. So it was just like, yeah, it was the whole thing just happened in one season, and it was meant to be um, a little more literary, and it is, and it goes in time. You'll notice that as you're flipping through, we're as we're cooking turkeys, those are interjected into the narrative of the hunt. So it's like, it's like we stop hunting, we go back to the cabin. This is what we had for dinner. Here's the recipe. Next morning we get up, we go out. This is what we had for lunch. And so it follows like a real linear like timeline. And this is going to be probably more in the textbook realm of it, a little more technical. And I really want to focus on the cooking. And so we don't need a lot of time in the field, which is, unfortunate because a lot of times that's the way I engineer myself to go and just have fun outside, is that I pretend that I'm working. And so this one is just, it really, I think it'll require about those 5 days, and we'll be able to get everything that we need in there. And then we're going to move on to the real guts of it, which is going to be the cutting and cooking, and it's going to be very extensive on that end. So I would say 90% of that versus a different blend for the other books.
So what's the reason for the different strategy on this?
Well, without giving too much away, I feel like that a lot of the hunting aspect has been covered. It's
Mm,
it's with media and just, I mean, the volume of content
mhm.
and books and things out right now. It's my voice isn't really necessary in that realm,
Okay.
and it's also not. It's something I enjoy doing. It's not something I'm fanatical about.
Okay.
I'm more fanatical about the eating side of it, and so that's, I mean, just to continue to be just like real and frank and honest. It's just
Mhm.
like I feel like, hey, this is where I want to start with the conversation right here,
Yeah.
and move from there. Whereas turkey, the hunt, I feel like is part of its mystique almost,
Yeah.
and it's also kind of the same. You're in a different situation. You're in a different like biome. You're in the mountains. You're in the swamps. You're in the brush country. You're
Mm.
in the hardwoods for turkeys. But the sequence of it is pretty much the same. You're roosting birds. You're getting there in the morning. You're trying to get them off the limb, and then you're chasing them all day, and it kind of works out the same. Whereas other animals, once you get into a different part of the country, it's a totally different game.
Yeah. And I guess the strategies for how you've written this new book is what's guided you in your previous ones. You've sort of taken what you love about that subject
Hmm.
and used that to guide you.
Yeah, and like the Pâtal Project would be a good example too. It's like, I love dove hunting. I feel like I'm fairly good at the hunting part. The shooting part, maybe not. Depends on the day. Um, but I do feel like I have a lot to bring as far as strategy about where you set up in a field. And so we talk a lot about that in there. And so I don't always offer a much hunting information. I feel like I'm a mediocre hunter. I mean, I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me. I love it. But there's some things that I'm better at. And setting up in a dove field is something I'm pretty good at. Like I can analyze. I'll look at a map and I'll be like, I'll look at the power lines and I'll look at the trees and the gaps where the pond's at, where that one tree out in the field is at, and I'm like, I think we should go right there. And most of the time I'm right. And so I would include something like that. And so the things that I know, I will include, but I think that's something, I hope that's something that, readers enjoy about the books. It's like when I don't know something, I don't know. I'm like, I'm not gonna make it.
I think it comes through pretty clear. I mean, it is funny. So many books on I find hunting especially try to be everything to everyone, all encompassing. This is how you do everything, and yours are not like that, which makes them infinitely more trustworthy. You read something that you write, and you're like, well, that's right, and it's something that comes across as well because your name has come up in conversations. I think actually recently I was speaking to Elias at Olympia Provisions, and your name came up. He's like, yeah, like if you want to know about barbecue or hog hunting or hog butchery, and he's like, you got to talk to Jesse. Jesse's a guy, right? Like you're there's a strength in not trying to be everything to everyone, right? I mean,
certainly.
it's unattainable, but it definitely leads to infinitely more trust in your readers when they go through your stuff, right?
Exactly. You want to be reliable. And I mean, I always say, like, I didn't really write the hog book as much as I compiled answers to 1,000 questions that I'd heard over a decade. And that's just, it was a really effective way to go about it. It's like, I mean, what is an educational book about hog hunting, butchering, and cooking? You know, it's going to be like, well, it's going to be the things that the people that are actually doing that find to be germane topics, things that they're really wondering about. Like, can you eat a big boar? What do you do with a little pig? Can you smoke this? Can you make bacon? You know, does it matter if boom, 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 this? And so it's like you hear these questions and you're like, I'm gonna write that question down. I'm gonna, you know, either apply my real world knowledge to it, or and go and figure it out. You know, do some testing and be like, oh, hey, can you throw this on the smoker? Is this big stinky boar edible if I do this? Does this work? And so I really just answered people's questions, you know, and in doing so, I provided them with the answers that they were looking for. And I think that's the way you do it. I mean, otherwise, what are we doing here? You know, it's just like, I'm not writing books for me. I'm writing books for other people, and I love that. And so I think, yeah, knowing your limitations, not only you avoid giving out bad information or obviously false information, but you also make it seem like attaining knowledge is attainable. You know, and so you put the reader in this position of like, oh, okay, this guy doesn't know everything, but this seems to be well vetted, and so you do develop a trust with people, and I think it's really important to do that. As I mean, as an educator, you never want to talk down to people. You kind of want to talk with them, be like, you know, when we're doing classes and somebody asks me something I don't know, I'm like, man, I don't know, but I love that question. I'm gonna delve into that, and that's why the butchery classes, we used to cut 3 hogs in 3 hours, and now I'll cut a lot of times I'll cut 1 hog in 3.5 hours. And it's I can't figure out the math. I mean, what's happening is this more and more questions come in. I'm addressing more uh, information, you know, versus just cutting and going through my spiel. And so and nobody's complained about it. They're like, oh, I really wanted to see 3 hogs, and I'm like, instead we did 1 or 2, and instead we covered a lot of ground because I've heard that many more questions, you know, since. So we've probably done 150 plus hog classes, and so, you know, it's 10 people at each one, and every one of them has multiple questions, and you just compile these things, and so it's great. It's so much fun.
I think you forget too, as a teacher, how it's rote for you, but for someone else, it's like overwhelming. I mean,
Mhm.
I remember in cooking school seeing my teacher butcher a hog, and all I remember from that entire sequence was how he held the knife. The rest of it, I don't know. It didn't stick with me, but I was mesmerized by how he held his knife to butcher the pig. So the fact that you're able to slow down and address all these things, I imagine it's infinitely more valuable to the students, and you know they're retaining a lot more information, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to have a lot of empathy
Yeah.
around like where they are. I'll tell you, this is a funny story. This will be the first time I've ever said this out loud. Like, I, when I'm writing like a recipe specifically, I have got this kind of aggregated person in my mind, and I'm writing it for him. It's a guy.
Yeah.
He is from Texas. He cooks sometimes, loves to cook things on a smoker, loves to hunt, and has never heard of miso. And no, it's
Yeah,
great.
no,
It's
fair.
great, you know, and
Yeah.
it's like, and so while I'm writing, I'm like, okay, I need to have this conversation with this person,
Yeah.
you know, and but I also need to convince him to try miso,
Yeah.
you know, and I need to be like, it's fermented beans, but wait,
Yeah. beer's fermented too.
Yeah, 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 right, right. So exactly, an empathetic response. And I mean, and another thing that I've been doing a lot lately is in small towns, I'm going into grocery stores and walking around and just absorbing everything that they have there. And, I mean, I'm in Austin, Texas. I can drive right down the street. I mean, a Mexican grocery store that's phenomenal right over here. I've got every dried chili, types of sugar, and kind of some crazy produce there. And there's Central Market and Whole Foods. There's these really nice, beautiful, big grocery stores. And I'm like, sometimes you got to like back out of that and see, like, if you were in this town, what can you make with these ingredients? Like when you go there, do they have parsnips? No, but they have carrots,
Yeah,
and so it's like, and we'll talk about that. Just throw a carrot in there, you'll be fine.
yeah,
And so also like developing that empathy, of like situation, it's like I really want people to succeed and make these recipes and be excited about it, and how do you go about it? Don't lose them in the process, and just keep them engaged and have fun.
yeah, and I think it all boils down to lack of ego in how you're writing these things, right? Like, you just wanting that connection with the end user, wanting to have, like you said, empathy for what they're dealing with and limitations they might be facing, but at the end of the day, just, like, being passionate about it and wanting to share good food and share them in the experience is, like, I think what pulls people in, right?
Yeah, definitely. I was asked I was doing a little talk, and somebody asked me what was the most important. I can't remember. What's the most like thing? Like, they probably said thing. What's the most important thing to remember while you're butchering and processing wild game? And so I was like, oh, is it keeping it cold, or is it a little dash of maple syrup? I was like, I was like, wait, no, I know what it is. It's that you should enjoy it, and
Yeah.
maintaining that level of enjoyment throughout the entire process. Now, I have spoken extensively about this
Mhm.
concept, but it bears repeating. Like when you start planning a hunt, for instance, I'm going to go hunt with my good friend Eli in Oregon in April. We're hunting turkeys. And so from the minute we started planning this trip, it's very enjoyable. So I'm maintaining this like linear level of enjoyment. I'm going to get on the plane. It's going to be great. I'm going to see Eli, give him a big hug. He's going to drive me to some crazy restaurant. We're going to have an amazing meal, and then we're going to head east to the mountains of eastern Oregon. We're going to hunt turkeys. That's going to be amazing. It's going to be frustrating and amazing. We're going to shoot a turkey. That's going to be fun. We're going to butcher that turkey. At that point, a lot of people lose interest. They're like, oh,
Mhm.
the work begins and stuff. It's like, wait a minute, it doesn't have to be. Take your time, get yourself a beer or a cup of coffee or whatever it is that you like to enjoy this part of it, and just look at it and enjoy it. Enjoy the feathers and the blood and all that stuff and the smells, whatever. It's like, this is
Mhm.
cool. We're so lucky to be able to experience this. You're maintaining that level of enjoyment. Then you get to package it, bring it home, and then you start to get to cook it, and it's just like, that's so much fun. Every little bit of it, the neck, the wings, the gizzard, the broth, everything that comes off of that. It's like, I mean, if you can maintain that excitement and just kind of trick your mind into thinking, this is wonderful, until that very last package is gone, and then you chart that whole thing from the minute that I call Eli, I'm like, hey man, I'm coming up there in April, until that very last package of turkey is consumed. If you maintain this beautiful like level of enjoyment throughout the whole entire process, then that's the trick. That's
Yeah.
it. That's how you get there. Well, how do I get to make it better? It's like, it's really not about how much salt you put in, and it says how much did you love this, and if you love doing it, you're going to be more engaged in it. You're going to be like, oh, I'm going to give miso a shot.
I think it's also a bigger statement on life too, right? Like,
Sure.
I mean, if you can enjoy folding your laundry and enjoy that process,
Tall.
then, right? Like, I mean, that's it, right? Like, I remember, what's her, Marie Kondo talking about, like, does it bring you joy or whatever, right? But it was like a light switched in my brain where I'm like, damn it, I have to fold my laundry, so I
Oh my
might
god,
as well.
you're using my words against me now.
Yeah, no, but seriously though, like, it's not everyone is going to love start to finish,
Yeah.
right? Like, not everyone's going to find the joy in pulling the guts out of a turkey, but if you can reframe it in your brain and say, this is part of the process, I have to do it, so I might as well enjoy it. I mean, it was, for me, it was a life changing experience. It really was. Like, and it's a shame when people, they kill the animal and they're like, okay, well, my job's done. Right?
Mhm.
Like, for me, the best, like, my favorite part is butchering it, packaging up. I love it. Like you said, like, I put on my little black gloves, I have my coffee, I'm setting my time aside for the day. This is what I'm doing. I'm loving every second of it.
Mhm.
But it's a challenge. Like, how do you get people to get on board with that?
Well, I think the real issue for so many people is time,
Yeah.
like the way that they view time. And
Mm.
I'm always able to make these pretty, I think, substantive arguments about it. Let's take doves for example. You don't probably hunt doves, but we hunt
No.
doves a lot.
Hmm.
I pluck doves. Doves are tiny. They're very little, but I pluck them each one of them in their entirety. Over a season, we'll probably bring, 80, 100 plus doves home, each one of them plucked. And people in Texas, you'll get openly mocked for doing that. You're supposed to just like pop the breasts off and then peel the breasts out and then you throw the bird away. We save the hearts, the livers, and the gizzards. I mean, the heart is tiny, it's like half the size of a dime. Well, once you accumulate 100 of those,
Hmm.
you've got something. But also, like, okay, so to go on this big dove hunt that we go to every year, we drive there in 4.5 hours, and then we, stay there for a couple nights, and then we drive 45 minutes to get to the dove field, and then we hunt doves for 2, 3 hours, drive back. I mean, I'm just like, wait a minute, at what point did that extra 25 minutes just be like, whoa, we're talking about too much time? Or pulling the legs off of your turkey. It's like, listen, man, you just sat under the tree for 7 hours and another 8 minutes is going to break the whole deal. It doesn't make any sense to me, but time is usually used as the excuse. Oh, that takes a lot of time for what you get. And I'm like, man, you drove for 12 hours to get here. Like, uh, I think it's way more meaningful to be extracting this thing, and this essentially is what we're here for.
Hmm.
Uh, and it doesn't make much sense. But once you kind of crack that time argument open, I think that it's kind of like, oh, okay, I can take my time. I mean, beyond like sanitary standards or whatever, but like taking your time to clean a deer or a turkey takes that stress away because we're ingrained to be like, oh, we just got to get this part of it done, just because it's just time doing this thing we don't want to do. But if you take your time and do it right, and you take that pressure and that stress out of the factors, it seems so much more enjoyable.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And it's like you talk about time and money and the value of things. And I mean, how many hours a day do people spend on their phones, pressing buttons and
Mhm.
doing stuff that they're not getting back, right? Like, it's it's a challenge. And I think, again, circling back, we're food and taste and like, having that story is how you convince people, right? Like, yes, financially, it probably doesn't make sense to, like you say, drive 4.5 hours to a dove hunt and then, 45 minutes out to the actual location and then all the cleaning, right? Like, money wise, the math doesn't math, right? Like, people that come into our hunting courses and they're like, well, I'm just looking for cheap, I'm trying, food's so expensive in the grocery store. I'm trying to save money and, provide cheap food for my family. I'm like, well, hunting is definitely not the solution there, right? Like, this is, I think it's great that you want to do it, but you're probably going to be disappointed if this is like a money saving venture. And You're talking about hunting with your daughter. How does that relate to you hunting?
Oh, it's changed everything, really.
Yeah.
You know, in the past, it's been about the past 2 years where she's surpassed me in what she's putting in the freezer. And that's all by design. It's because I would rather just be with her and let her do it. I have no more, you know, desire to be the one that it doesn't matter to me how it gets in there. And I'm pointing the freezer's that direction, by the way.
Yeah.
How it gets in there. I just need it in there, and I would prefer for her to maintain that connection. And she's 15, and so you know we've gone since age 8. You know, kind of through some years where it was pretty easy. Uh, Easy by that I mean like she was still very much into it, and now we're kind of into this, you know, time in her life where, you know, a weekend is time to be spent with your friends and not the likes of dad out in the country, you know, hunting deer, but she still wants to. And so it's just like super meaningful. Every year we will travel and do a turkey hunt. We went to Nebraska last year, and the year before we went to Washington State. And it's my favorite thing. It's just simply my favorite thing. It's a great way to spend a lot of time, you know, in the car with her, talking, seeing new places. You know, we got to drive through the Lakota reservation. We got to drive by Wounded Knee. We got to see Mount Rushmore. We got to see Crazy Horse Monument. We went to the town of Custer. We saw the Badlands. We saw the Black Hills. You know, all these incredible things just in one trip, actually in one day that we got to do all that. And that's another thing about, you know, I was saying earlier, is turkey hunting. You know, it's like that was after a turkey hunt, and we were just going to the airport. You know, like all of those things happened. Um, and so spending time with her in that context after she had just killed a giant, big, fat Miriam's on the last hour of the last day. Um, yeah, it doesn't get any better. And I just really enjoy hunting with her, and I'm bracing myself for there to be a gap where she's says maybe not this year. It's gonna be hard for me, but I do feel like she'll circle back to it. I mean, she's an excellent shot. She's really good at it. She enjoys it. She likes to eat it, and I think that it's a long term investment.
Yeah. What more can you ask for, right? Like that the quality time of the just the drive out to the hunt
Hmm.
is invaluable.
Hmm.
It's amazing.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, was there anything we missed? Anything you want to discuss?
I don't think
Talk
so.
about?
I
No?
feel like we've covered some.
The wide gamut.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I get that way. I get rambly, drink enough coffee, and I can go anywhere for any amount of time. So
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. I've really enjoyed speaking with you. And for the listeners, we'll put links to books and websites and your Pâtal Project. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I know I didn't before, but
no, it's totally fine.
yeah,
I have
a
a.
Canadian accent. Damn it.
I also am realizing that I like to create things with strange names. You know, Dai Due is the name of the restaurant. People are like, "Wait, what?" You know, my mom still can't pronounce it. Um, and then the Pâtal Project. So Pâtal is the Spanish word. There's a river very close to us here in Central Texas called the Pedernales. Um, and Pedernal is a Spanish word for flint. And so, with the indigenous tribes around here, flint, you know, most places, was probably the most important lithic material for tool making. And so, I just have always loved that word. And so, it is Pedernal, and yeah, it means flint.
Very cool. And it's like an amazing site. I recommend everyone check it out. It's beautifully laid out. The content looks amazing, and being able to tap into your brain and your skills and being able to share that with a wide audience is massive resource for people. So highly recommend they check that out.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I look forward. I'm actually meeting Elias next week. We're driving down to Portland to hang out and go check out his facility and have dinner at his restaurant.
It's yeah, he's such a stunning person. The the facility where he's making all this sausage, it'll just blow your mind. It's one of the largest in the U.S. That's I mean, and he's using all pastured pork too.
Mm.
He's a visionary, and you'll get in there and you'll be able to see some incredible things, and then you'll eat some very very good food and a lot of it. Get ready, but
I'll
he
wear
doesn't
my stretchy pants.
he doesn't know when to stop. So
Oh, it sounds amazing. I actually recorded a podcast with him a few weeks back, and I've been a big fan of his work. But like as a human being, he's just like seems just super generous and humble and amazing. I can see why you two are friends because you guys seem to share a lot of qualities. So,
yeah,
um,
I mean that's a compliment right there. So
yeah,
thank
no problem. Well, thank you very much, Jesse. It's been a real pleasure, and enjoy working on your book. And I'm very excited to see when it comes out what it's all about.
thank you so much, Tiffany. I really enjoyed it.